mediate, trying to figure out how to get a ceasefire to stop this slaughter and to end this war right now. But, of course, it is children, and tens of thousands of them, who are the desperate victims of a massive Latin American wave of gang warfare and poverty. And since October, 60,000 unaccompanied children have surged into the United States, their big, rich neighbor to the north. But if they thought they'd find safety there after the treacherous trek, they were mistaken. They've been detained, put in overcrowded, ill-equipped shelters, or deported back to their crime-ridden countries. Most have come from Honduras, which today holds the dubious distinction of having the world's highest murder rate. In June, 32 children were killed there, which makes it about one a day. Now, its new president, Juan Hernandez, is in Washington, where, along with other Central American leaders, he'll be meeting with President Obama. And he told me this is everyone's very vital problem, and the U.S. needs to do more. President Hernandez, welcome to the program.
Muchas gracias, Cristian, por tenerme. Un gusto saludarle.
Thank you very much for having me, Christian. A pleasure to greet you.
Can I start by asking you a very important question about the flow of Honduran civilians to the United States? We understand it is slowing over the last several weeks. What have you specifically done to stop that process?
Bueno, este problema inició a agravarse y salió fuera de
this problem got out of proportion from a year ago, and this has surprised us. The causes are multiple. One of them is the violence caused by drug trafficking, poverty, of course, the lack of opportunities. But for us, this is an enormous challenge.
What are you going to be saying to President Obama? What do you want from the U.S. president?
First, I would like to explain to Washington, to President Obama, to legislators, to deciders and people with power of decision in the Congress, in the Senator, to Washington leadership, who are the leaders of the U.S. people, of the United States people, that the crime that comes from drugs, the violence, the lack of security in Central America has a cost for the United States. It's not a benefit. And on the other hand, prosperity, a Central America with opportunities, a Central America in peace is a benefit to the United States and not a liability. In short, it's a crisis for Central America and it's a crisis for the U.S. So let's work together to solve it.
But you've been critical of the United States during this crisis. What is your criticism and what will you specifically be asking for?
Bueno, yo asumí.
Well, I have not even been in power for 6 months, Christian, but I've studied the problem that we have in Central America. When the United States and Colombia worked to combat drugs, and then Mexico and the U.S. worked together, the heads of the drug trafficking operation went to Central America. This has brought us terrible problems. Never before in the history of our country have we seen so many deaths as in the recent decades. So we want to work together to look at the roots of the problem, generating opportunities for economic growth, health opportunities, education opportunities, take care of the security issues, and that way security issues, peace, prosperity for Central America will also be of enormous benefit to the U.S. So we want to work together in partnership. That's what it's about.
You've mentioned that the drug wars in Colombia, the drug wars in Mexico have pushed the drug traders, the drug traffickers to your region. Is that your assessment?
That's one of the main reasons. The drug trafficking generates violence, lack of opportunities, and emigration. Honduras is working hard in the war against drugs. We're working hard to generate opportunities, but we're also working as never before to receive our are immigrants, but also asking the United States that in the case of the children, the interests of the children should prevail. Their reunification, the reunion with their families. They're human beings, Christian. They're human beings who are vulnerable. They are not criminals.
What do you think should happen to the children who do manage to reach the United States?
I have been requesting and will continue to request respect for the primary interests of the children, their basic interests. But if a family comes that has no other family members in the U.S. and the law doesn't protect them, then our duty is to receive them when they're returned to Honduras.
Mr. President, you have taken measures to stop the flow, to slow the flow of these children. You have, I think, ordered that bus tickets should not be sold to minors, and you've put special police on the bus routes and at the border. Is that correct?
That's correct, Christian. We have set in motion a media campaign at our own cost, at our own expense. I believe all Hondurans, all Central Americans must know what they're exposed to. Young girls, 13-year-olds, the coyotes or human smugglers. Give them birth control pills because most of them are going to be sexually abused. We've organized this campaign. We have closed previous immigration institutions and created a new institution. We've also captured an important network of human smugglers and have also imprisoned people related to them from their positions in the state.
And finally, you are a military man, and you have spoken about trying to bring security, including, quote, having a police on every corner. As you very well know, the United States has suspended some of its aid over the last several months. It views some of the policies as overly aggressive. Are you concerned that your stepped-up security could itself have a negative effect and cause, in fact, more deaths, more fighting?
Well, Christian, we have experiences with this across the Americas. On the one hand, we need to purge the civilian police force. We need help from the armed forces in this struggle against violence because these are bands, these are armed, the drug traffickers are organized as armies. They have power beyond what a police unit might have. We also need to purge prosecutors, judges, and we're moving forward on that. On the other hand, we have to prevent violence. I believe in schools, the culture of peace. Ethical values, spiritual values, that's why we're working very closely with the churches. It's not enough to crack down on crime, but there are places where the government has to recover its authority. I know we're going to find support in the U.S. because they have already been successful in Mexico and in Colombia. But this success was a problem for Honduras. Now we have to work together. Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico, and the U.S.
President Hernandez of Honduras, thank you very much.